Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Cassidy Hinds. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. Kind of just give an update on I know your seasons. I know your seasons kind of gotten delayed a little bit, but just kind of give an update on where you guys are at and what your plans are for the year.
Yeah, so we're supposed to be running the super late model at Colorado National Speedway and then hit a few of the Southwest Tour SRL races around California and Arizona. But unfortunately, we cannot do any of the races as of right now because our engine is still at the engine builder. We can't get a part for it, so we're kind of at a standstill. We're supposed to be in Tucson right now, but we aren't there because we can't get our engine back. So
Yeah.
we're kind of stuck right now, but we're patiently waiting for it.
So kind of just like just what's kind of going on? Just the engine shop and all that. Just kind of explain what the details of that are, because it's like parts are waiting, and obviously with the big part shortage that everyone's kind of faced for the last few years. But what's that been? What's that like, and what's really holding everything up?
Yeah, so we can't get a cam for the engine, and unfortunately, the Chevys and the Fords, they have two different cams that they can use. Like there's two separate, so they're not the same. And so we're waiting on our cam for our engine, which it's a Ford engine. And so we our engine builder can't get one and can't like get in contact with people who have one. So we're just kind of waiting. And apparently it's been the case for a lot of engine builders out there. So we're not really sure what's going on exactly.
Yeah. Um, since this is your first time on this channel, kind of talk about how you kind of got your start into racing.
Yeah, so I started racing kind of I was older when I started racing. I guess you could say I started racing when I was 11 in quarter midgets.
Okay.
And my parents had taken me to the racetrack when I was younger, like Bandamere, which is our local drag strip, and Colorado National, where I race now. And I would always say that I wanted a race car. And until I was like from 6 to 10, I said I wanted a race car. And they kind of just thought that it was just like a phase. I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And I kept bugging them. And so they took me out to the quarter midget track in Pueblo, and I just fell in love with it and I instantly wanted one. And so that next season, I got a quarter midget. Actually got a quarter midget for Christmas, which was really cool. And yeah, that's how I started. I ran quarter midgets for 4 or 5 years. I did micros for 1 season. I've done pro trucks for 4 seasons, and this is my second season in super late models. And I ran junior late models and pro late models.
Yeah. So what is the plan once, if this engine thing goes through? What is the plan for you? What is the plan for you guys to run this year?
Our plan is to run a full season at Colorado National Speedway in the super late models. We also have a pro truck, so I will be running a little bit of some races there at Colorado National with the pro truck, and then hitting some Southwest Tour races with the super late model if we can.
Okay, so what's it like racing a pro truck? Because I've seen them out there at Colorado National. What are they just like different from like a super late model?
Oh, I love it. It's amazing. I love that truck. I don't know. I think I love it so much because I've raced it for 4 seasons and my racing has progressed through it. But it's definitely different than the super late model. I don't know. It's kind of like, I guess a good way to explain it for me is the differences besides horsepower and speed. It's a visual thing for me. So it's kind of like if you get in like a Chevy Cruze and then you get into a Chevy Silverado, like you see two different things. And so I guess that's the way I look at it for me is when I'm in the super late model, everything's more compact. I can't see as much. It's not as open in there. And then when I'm in the pro truck, it's taller, the window is bigger, and I can see more. So I think that's the biggest difference for me is like position and how I'm sitting in them, and I'm higher up in the truck, I'm lower down in the super. Yeah, it's there's some differences there.
Yeah. You're also a college student as well. Just kind of talk about like, balancing trying to make a racing career for yourself and then just going and trying to going to school as well.
Yeah, so I am a full-time college student. I'm majoring in nutrition and minoring in psychology. I go full-time spring, fall, and sometimes summer. It depends on what we're doing for the summer. And I mean, at first it was kind of a little bit difficult to balance the racing and the school. I would end up having exams when I was supposed to be racing. There were a couple times where we'd be racing in California and I'd have an exam that Thursday and I'd have to tell them, like, hey, I can't be there for the exam. I have racing. And
Yeah.
sometimes they understand, sometimes they don't. It sucks when they don't, but most of the time, as far as my experiences have gone, they have understood. But it's difficult in a sense, I guess. For homework, it's more difficult because I'm either doing homework or I'm out in the shop. It's kind of one of those things where I have to prioritize one over the other, which kind of sucks. But I end up getting all of my homework done earlier in the week or later in the week. And then the days that I'm not doing my homework, I am in the shop.
Yep. Um, so kind of just talk about like, where do you go to school? I should have said that too.
I go to school at Metropolitan State University of Denver.
That's awesome. So kind of just talk about like, I've gotten a chance to, there's some, YouTube clips that I've watched when people have done stories about you and stuff. Just like, how has it kind of been just like, racing out there and people are like, oh, this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Racing in Colorado, I really enjoy it. The fan base in Colorado, I've never seen a fan base that can beat Colorado National Speedway. There are so many fans out at the track. The stands are always packed, and so it's really cool to be able to say that I race at Colorado National, and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, that's really cool! Like I go there all the time," which I run into that a lot. And you wouldn't think that you would, but I do.
Yeah. There's not many like racers that have came from Colorado that maybe even race in ARC or NASCAR. I think the only one really I can think of is remember when Cody Vanderwall raced a bunch of times around there and stuff. So that's really the only one I can remember. Uh,
Yep.
but overall, I know that you have big aspirations and goals. Where do you see yourself? And the goal is NASCAR for you, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
So what's it going to be like just to, racing in late model? Where do you see yourself in like in next year, 2, 3 years down the road?
Well, I'm hoping to be in some sort of NASCAR series. But anything that I can get my hands on, I love racing. I'm a speed junkie, so
Yeah.
anything that works for me. But NASCAR is ultimately the goal. NASCAR is the dream, and I would love to race for some sort of NASCAR team and in any form of NASCAR series, ARCA, Xfinity, Trucks, Cup Series, you name it, I'll race it.
Yeah. Um, and just kind of talk about, so regardless of if we will be seeing you at some sort of into some sort of race this year regarding unless the engine comes in, right?
Yes, yes, I will definitely be racing this season.
Okay. So outside of racing, what do you like to do?
Well, I like school because I'm in college. But I really like school. It is something that I've always really liked to do. I don't know why. I have that sort of knack for it, I guess. But I like hanging out with my family, hanging out with my friends. I really like bowling, even though I'm okay at bowling.
Yeah.
Um, and I have a dog and two rabbits, so I like hanging out with them. Um, yeah, I like doing fun stuff with my friends and family and hanging out with people.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and just also let's ask this. What are your goals for this year?
Ooh, well, I guess now one of them can be racing the super late model.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know, just to have a good season. I feel like when people think of having a good season, they think of getting a championship or something. But I really think of it as having a good season is being happy with your finish. Like let's say you didn't have a good start to the day and then you didn't qualify good because you didn't have a good start to the day, but you ended up finishing like P3 or P4 in the main. I feel like that's a good day because you struggled in the beginning, but you overcame it and you still got a top 5 finish. So I think my definition of a good season and somebody else's definition of a good season are two different things. But I definitely like to say that by the end of the season that my crew and I succeeded in the way that we wanted to.
All right. Well, Cassidy Hinds, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck in the 2023 season for you.
Thank you so much.